Zadondani, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Electro Ninja's Lab. In today's video, I want to talk a little bit about CGI anime. And also, yes, it is my birthday. Thank you for anyone who's going to send me birthday wishes. You don't have to. Moving on. Like I said, today I want to talk about CGI anime. And yeah, the reason that I bring up Drifting Dragons is because it's one of the best ones that I've seen of late that was fully CGI. And yes, I know that Beastars is a thing. Don't talk to me about it because I haven't seen it. But that's something that I think a lot of people need to understand is that Drifting Dragons and Beastars are kind of alone. And I do mean that. They are the only of recent history fully CGI animes. And everything else is the traditional 2D animation. And sure, you'll get some of those occasional series that will use CGI in certain places, such as So I'm Aspire So What, where the main character is almost exclusively CGI, and many other characters will be done in CGI for things like combat and stuff like that. But CGI is rare nowadays, and especially when it comes to the anime world. And today I want to talk about why that probably should change. The fact is that CGI has become a bigger and bigger market with animation for a while now. I mean, any Disney movie that you see nowadays, Pixar or otherwise, is almost exclusively done in CGI. And that is actual facts. There is pretty much the only things that you're getting from Disney right now are Disney Channel stuff that is in traditional animation, which I do have to say is kind of shocking. But even that it's still not completely accurate because obviously there is a lot of CGI nowadays. And obviously it gets worse because freaking a good majority of things are CGI nowadays. And I think that is an interesting factor. CGI has improved so much over the past few years, and yet anime has rarely entered that era. And the reason for it is because of the fans. And yes, I do mean you, and me, and everyone else who is in the anime fandom. It is our fault that CGI anime has been few and far between. The fact is that we don't like CGI anime. It's not necessarily completely our fault, but the fact is that when we see CGI in an anime, we almost exclusively start targeting it for hatred. We despise these shows because honestly, they really looked bad. Just a few years ago, things were nowhere near ready to actually be... Japan was not ready to actually release any CGI animation. We all know the story of Berserk 2016 and how that failed miserably. And on top of that, there are many other series that have tried to do CGI, and immediately we turn up our noses to them and say, ew, no, that's disgusting, stop doing that. Because of the fact that, well, they looked pretty bad, all things considered. Many fans loved the traditional animation as it just looked more fluid, it looked right. It matched the original art styles of the creators. It allowed us to just see that amazing artwork in ways that we wouldn't have necessarily thought of. And that's a bit of a problem, though. People, because of the downfall of many of these, the only people that would actually start working on CGI would be those people who were required to do it because they needed to catch up to getting thing out in time. And it's why we would often see CGI that looked awful, because nobody wanted it. People would see it and see how disgusting it looked, with things like Overlord having many times where the monsters that Ainz would summon looking honestly pretty disgusting. But I think that people have neglected to look at how things have improved recently. And sure, people rave about the amazingness of things like Beastars, but no one's really talking about anything else. Like I mentioned earlier, drifting dragons is a thing that I've talked a lot about, and probably will be doing a lot more talking about it now that I'm almost caught up with it, so look forward to that. But yeah, it's basic. It was drifting dragons and that. But there's also another anime that I think we should actually also be looking at. An anime that's basically just a movie, and that is Eden. This is a series that I immediately fell in love with. A story of a young girl who, well, got adopted by robots and had to save the world. It's an amazing story, and I want to talk more about it, but there's not much that I can talk about without spoiling things, because it's honestly such a short series, but such an amazing one, that I think a lot of fans need to just check out at least once. If you like anime, this is probably a good series to watch. It is a good way to check out 3D animation. And that is something that I think a lot of fans don't really understand, is that animation needs to improve. If we show these shows that aren't necessarily that good, that they are at least liked, then that can give them the chance to improve. If we give them constructive criticism, saying things like, for example, Drifting Dragons. I've mentioned before, Drifting Dragons is not as good as the original manga, but that's mostly because of the fact that if you've seen the manga, you know how freaking amazing it looks. Like, just a picture, any picture of the food from the original manga will have you drooling. It is that amazing. There's a reason why I've compared it to Food Wars. And yeah, so seriously, if you haven't read Drifting Dragons, please read it, because I've mentioned it before. And I think that that's something that the creators need to actually realize, is that they need to work a little bit more on what exactly they want to do with the CGI. Improve things little by little until you reach that golden mark. And then you'll have a method that works. And sure, we should absolutely keep the traditional animation, and it annoys the crap out of me that other studios don't necessarily continue to do that. I mean, French animation, nothing anymore about 2D animation. Sure, there's some, but it's rare. Disney, one of the biggest studios, very little. In fact, the only things that pop into my mind when it comes to 2D animation of recent years connected with Disney is that of shows. Like, actually think about that for a moment. Only TV shows actually connect there. And these shows are things like Gravity Falls, Amphibia, Owl House. Those are in traditional 2D animation, but practically nothing else is. It's these cartoons that are basically the only way that people are getting to see this animation. So it's basically, for kids, if they want to see animation, it's either 3D with movies, or it's 2D with some shows. And even then, it is rare. It is still few and far between. And it's not even really a good selection, because it's very small, like I said. And it's not in the traditional age groups that you would think of for children to watch this. It is from at least 5 up. And basically everything between 5 and teenage years. So basically, school-aged kids are basically the ones who are watching this stuff, and nobody else is going to. And I just keep feeling that is going to be a disappointment. And then, when people finally reach their teenage years, there's really only 2 options. Well, really only one option, to be completely honest. Anime. Because pretty much everything else that teenagers are supposed to be watching is live action, which is just a disappointment to me. At this point, the shows that are supposed to be for teenagers are all these live action things that are gritty and kind of dark. I mean, these teenagers are watching things like stuff on CW, which, what? That almost nothing there is animation, and I think that is a big problem. So the answer is anime, but unfortunately people aren't going to be talking about that. And if they want to see stuff and learn how to actually animate, for the most part, the only option when it comes to animation for things from Japan is, well, 2D. So I think that giving kids that option of not necessarily a 50-50 split, but close to that, there should be something. A 50-50 split for all generations that you can watch. If you want to watch it 2D, then you can. And then there's the 3D stuff. And they can branch off, allowing people to engage their minds, to start deciding what artwork do they want to do. Do they want to be a CGI artist, creating things in computer programs to make these amazing artworks that people will fall in love with for years and years and probably go to Disney? Or do they want to completely draw things out, starting by hand, but then moving on to doing things on their computers via tablets or otherwise? That is the decision that a lot of people are going to have to make eventually. But unfortunately, if they are stuck with just watching things from one country, more than likely they're just going to go towards CGI. Because, well, like I said, traditional animation is rare here. And I think that is something that we need to understand. If we are going to change the way things go from here on out, anime needs to go more CGI and improve that method so that more and more people can actually understand, oh, this is how we should do things. We should make these in this art form. Sure, the traditional is fun and stuff, and it makes things look really cool, but CGI also has its benefits. And we should be able to do things with CGI to make them look, well, interesting. I mean, Drifting Dragons looks amazing. Eden, amazing. Again, So I'm Aspire, so what? Top notch. And basically, though, those are the only options when it comes to CGI. So we need more that goes towards the CGI front. More things that become well known and that people will fall in love with and start reading and learning how to do these CGI so that things can improve. Because as of right now, people know that CGI is bad when it comes to animation. So if they want to do CGI, it's the game world, which may not be the perfect art form for everyone. Instead, we need to have things that people can work on either way. Do they want to do CGI? Can they do it in the anime department? Maybe not. So they go to the game department, and therefore never really learn how they could do things really fun in the TV area. So, learn to improve. Learn to grow. Do what makes you have fun. And seriously, anime world, all of you who do who create anime, start looking into ways that you can make things in CGI, because it's not a bad thing. It's just that you need to improve. And I think that that's the thing that you guys have, that the anime departments just haven't been learning. That they just need to improve that just a little bit. And then eventually they can grow into something that will be truly fantastic and many fans will fall in love with for years and years to come. And who knows? Maybe things will just keep getting better. But anyways, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, leave your thoughts and theories down in the comments below. If you guys do have any theories, make sure to say theory review somewhere in your comment. And of course, if you guys do want to support this, if you guys haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and ring that notification bell. If you guys want to support the channel even more, then definitely head down to the description and check out all of our links down there, including our social medias, our other channels, and ways you can support us financially, including the merch store, the book, and of course our Patreon, which a big thank you to our current patron, Sheeny. But anyways, guys, I've been Electro Ninja, and I will see you guys next time. But on!